All right. What level is that? Oh, you're live. Okay, fine.
Even though we resumed where you left off.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how it goes? Okay. All right, so we're doing the Mishnah on Daf Yomi Menachos.
Yeah, it even shows here the seconds, 30 seconds already in.
Okay, good, excellent. Nidmas achas min achalois. You have on Shavuos you bring 2 kvasim and 2 chalos. So what happens if one of the 2 breads became tamei? Oy echod min azdarim. 6 out of the 12 lechem apanim became tamei. Rabbi Yehuda omer shneim yetzu lebeis hasreifah. Rabbi Yehuda says that everything becomes tamei. If one of the 2 chalos become tamei, both of them become tamei. What's the svara? That's going to be the discussion now in the Gemara. What is the svara? The Mishnah says the svara, and I'm going to cheat here just to make it a little easier. This is the maskana of the Gemara. These words coming up, she'ein korban tzibur chaluk. Rabbi Yehuda has a svara. We'll see in the Gemara, he got the svara, he got it like b'misaira from his rabbeim. It's not a pasuk, it's not a svara, it's a misaira. She'ein korban tzibur chaluk. That there's no such thing as separating a carbon. If half the carbon is tamei, then the whole carbon is tamei. If one of the kvasim is tamei, if one of the lechem is tamei, the other lechem becomes tamei. If 6 of the lechem apanim are tamei, then the other 6 become tamei. Chachamim say no. Whatever is tamei, whatever is tar, and you could eat. You could eat the bread that's tar. What's the problem? So now the Gemara is going to go in, which is a big pella. We have to understand really what is the shaila here, what the svara is, when the Mishnah says specifically what the svara is. Omer Rebbe Lazar machloikis lefnei zrika. The whole machloikis, if the tumah applies to the second one or not, is lefnei zrika. Aval achas zrika deverakol hatomei b'tumasoi v'atori yochel. Even Rabbi Yehuda admits that you could eat the second bread. Why? Because once the zrika is done, then it had an effect on that bread. Now the fact that other bread became tamei, why should it have an effect on the second bread? It was already nitar, there was a heter, whatever had to be done was done. It accomplished what it needed to accomplish. And then just because the second one became tamei, it can retroactively, so to speak, come back and be metame the second bread. The whole machlokes is before zrika. Lefnei zrika b'may pligi. And what is the svara hamachlokes? Omer Papa b'tzitz miratza alachilos komifikli. So Rav Papa comes up with something new that's not brought in the Mishnah, and he says here's the machlokes what the tzitz is miratza. Because we know the Kohen Gadol wears it, sits on his forehead, and the Torah says that it's mechaper. What is it mechaper? We learn in the Gemara that it's mechaper on tumah. There's no machloikis that the tzitz is miratza, things that belong in the mizbeach, such as blood, kmitza, bezichin, these kind of things. So Rav Papa says, however, there's a machloikis if the tzitz is also miratza on things that are eaten, such as the breads, the lechem apanim. That it's miratza the bezichin, about it's miratza. The question is it also miratza the lechem apanim? And tumah. Yeah. Only tumah. The whole Mishnah. The Mishnah is talking about nitma achad min achalas. We're talking about tumah in one of the chalas. So going back to the tumah, the question is the tzitz, does it have effect on the oichel? Says the Gemara, top of Tezvavim Dalef, Rabbanan Sabri hatzitz miratze ala chilos. Rabbanan hold that the tzitz has power to be miratze the tumah on that bread to make not mutar ba'achila, says Rashi, but to make it. Let's see Rashi inside. Rabbanan Sabri hatzitz miratze ala tumas achilos akanam lemehevi zriko shenizrika aleim zrika ma'al yisov, to make the zrika a good zrika. Umiu kimiratze tzitz. Says Rashi, it doesn't make the other bread kosher l'achila. It has enough power, like a half power, to make the zrika a good zrika, which, by the way, that has a lot of power. Because if the zrika is a good zrika, then you could eat the bread that's tahar. If the zrika is not a good zrika, so you didn't do the matir, you didn't do what you need to do, so you take all the breads and you throw them out. Even the tahar has to go in the garbage. If the zrika is good, then you could eat the tahar, but the tameh remains tameh.
Why does it say Meratza al-Achilo? It say Meratza al-Zrikot.
Al-Achila of the tahar ones. It's meratza on the. It's good enough for the other food. Rabbi Yehuda Savar einat it's meratza al-Achilois. And Rabbi Yehuda holds that the tzitz has no effect on the foods that don't go on the mizbeach. Okay. So we have here two svaras. We have, first of all, what it says in the Mishnah, that Rabbi Yehuda holds ein korban tzibur chaluk. You don't divide a korban. So if part of it is tamei, then the other part that was tar becomes, so to speak, tamei. It's like it's tamei. Or you have Rav Papa. Rav Papa says that we're talking about a question if tzitz is meratza. Does the tzitz have enough power to make something that's tamei less tamei so you can do this zrika? So now the Gemara is going to ask a serious question. 3 questions. How do you tell me that the svara is if the tzitz is meratza, v'ha oilin are the things that the tzitz likulam is meratza, things that go on the mizbeach, like dam, kmitza, bezichin, these kind of things. That tzitz meratza ala oilin, upligi, and there's still a machloikis. You're telling me that the machloikis is on achila. There's also machloikis on things that actually go on the mizbeach. If one of the 2 spoonfuls of levina became tamei, both of them should, even the one that's not tamei, just make it tamei. It doesn't matter anymore. You don't have to be makbid on the tum. If you want, you could touch them together and make them both tamei. Lefi shein korban tzibur chaluk. He says the svara because, like it says in the Mishnah, there's no difference in the korban. No, one is tar, one is tamei. Now, according to Rav Papa's svara, Rav Yehuda should have agreed that you cannot make the second spoonful of levina that's tar, you can't make it tamei. It's a question of the tzitz is meratza, the one that's tamei. But you have no right to go and be metame the other one. According to the svara that we see in the Mishnah, that if one becomes tamei, then the other one becomes tamei. Now it makes a lot of sense. If one beziach is tamei, then make the other beziach tamei. But according to Rav Papa, that the svara is that the tzitz is meratza, it gives a special heter to the one beziach that's tamei. Why would you go ahead and be metame the second one? That doesn't make sense. Void another kasha. Omer Ravashi. We're talking about Erev Pesach. One of the Shvatim of Klal Yisrael, let's say Shevet Ruvain, they're all Tamei. V'chol HaShvatim Tahirim, and everybody else is Tahir, Yasu B'Tumah. The halacha is, according to Rabbi Yehuda, all the Shvatim, even Yisachar and Zvulun, everybody, they could all become Tamei and bring the korban Pesach B'Tumah. They were matir, one shevet. Now you go ahead and be matir all of Klal Yisrael. Lefi shein korbanos tzibur chaluk. Now, according to Chachamim,
they don't have to become tamei. They're Torah.
Right?
There's people that are tamei.
No, but the var would be they could also become tamei. There's no chumrah to be tar now. Why? Because once he made a heter for one shevet, and that's a kahal. Do it for the whole Klal Yisrael. Now, if the svara is that the tzitz is meratza, first of all, it doesn't even fit here. Tzitz meratza. Well, number one, the tzitz is not meratza people. Tzitz is meratza tuma of a tuma on a korban, but it's not meratza people. And also, why would you go ahead and make tuma when you need the tzitz to be meratza? If the svara is because once part of Klal Yisrael is tamei, then there's no chiluk, like it says in the Mishnah, shein korban tzibur chaluk, so let everybody be tamei. Okay, I understand. But if the vart is that you have to come onto a tzitz to be meratzah, to be mitayir you, so why are you going to be mitami yourself? That's another taina. But also the taina of that the tzitz meratzah doesn't even fit in here. Tzitz meratzah does not apply to human beings. Tzitz meratzah is meratzah to the carbon. What?
We're going to say that this whole thing with Klaus has anything to do with tzitz.
It says no, because in Rabbi Yehuda it brings shitas Rabbi Yehuda and it brings shein carbon choluk. It brings that thing, and Rav Papa touches up for whatever reason that means tzitz meratzah, like in our Mishnah. It's the same words as our Mishnah, the same mandamar as our Mishnah. I hear what you're saying, but that's the chayr, what the Gemara means.
So you're saying that the reason that aim carbon choluk is because of achila. That's what the should be.
Yeah, tzitz meratzah. And now finally, Void Omer Ravino Toshma Nidmas Achatz Min Achalis. Now it goes back to our Mishnah. What do we do with our Mishnah? Nidmas Achatz Min Achalis Oyachad Min Azdarim. If one of the two chalis of Shavuos or half of the lechem upon it became tamei, Rabbi Yehuda Mishnei Miyetzu Lebeis Hasreifa, burn it all. Lefi Shein Korban Tzibu Chaluk. He says mefurish, not like Rav Papa. He says mefurish. The svar is Shein Korban Tzibu Chaluk. You don't separate a carbon. If half of the carbon is tamei, make the other half tamei. He says nothing about tzitz meratzah. The Mishnah should make some mention of tzitz, meratzah, something. Talmud Oruchu B'fiv Shel Rabbi Yehuda. We always have a concept that a Tana learns out from a pasuk, a Tana learns out from a svara, and here we have a new concept. A Tana, there's no source. His source is he got a bit Messiah. And Rabbanan didn't get a bit Messiah. So that's it. So he says what he says. So in Mela we have like this. We have our Mishnah that if one bread became tamei, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the other bread becomes tamei. You have also by Levina, if one beziach becomes tamei, the other one's a tamei. And we have a chiddush by Korban Pesach that if one shevet becomes tamei, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the whole Klal Yisrael might as well become tamei. So that's Shittas Rabbi Yehuda, and he got it b'misayra. Next, we're holding by the Mishnah of Tesvav. You like?
Yeah.
Okay. He said I should say where we are. Like Noam complains on Thursday night. Say where you are. Okay. Line 39. Says the.
15A2.
Okay. Daf Tesvav in Menachos. Now, if somebody has a nace, like we bench today Goimel, if somebody has a nace, he comes out of jail, he had a serious disease and he was healed from it, or he went over water, or through the desert, the four famous nisim, he has to bring a carbon taida. So he brings a carbon, a behem, like a shlamim, but he also brings lachmi taida with it. So now the Gemara is going to discuss how one has an effect on the other. Hatoida mifagelis is halechem. If you bring, what about the Tosfos? What? Right. Tuma is sutra b'tzibur. We're talking about tzitz meratzah, something else. It's tuma. What? You're talking about Korban Pesach? How to apply to Korban Pesach? Those are two separate halachas. Tumah Rosh Hashanah and Tzitz Meratzah. Okay. Tumah Rosh Hashanah is a halacha that you do, but that you could do lechatchila. You could take something that's tamei and put it on the mizbeach. Tzitz Meratzah is different. That if it's already on there, you don't take it off. That sort of thing. Hatoida mifagelis es halechem. So the carbon of the taida, if you have intention to eat it the next day, which is chutz l'zman, it's mifagel the lechem. So you don't have to have a thought of. So in other words, if you were to eat the bread that comes together with the carbon taida, you chayiv kares because they're connected, the bread and the taida. However, if you do the reverse, v'halechem, if your thought was on the bread, enu mifagel es taida, then there's no pigul on the meat. And if you eat the meat, you're not over in kares. Keitzad, the Mishnah explains, if he had the thought while he was shechting the animal, it has an effect on the bread. But if his thought was lechem and alechem lemachar, halechem mefugol, v'atoida enu mefugeles. And the Gemara is going to explain why it goes one direction and not the other direction. In other words, the Mishnah is telling us that the carbon is the important one of the two. That the lechem is sort of agav. Not really, but this is a svar in the Gemara, and that's how it starts. So Mela, when you think about the animal, the thought transfers to the bread. But if you think about the bread, which is not the ikr, so it doesn't transfer to the animal.
One doesn't eat the taida meat?
What?
One doesn't eat from the taida?
No, you could.
So why is it considered people to think of the meat that you want to eat the meat the next day?
You can't eat it the next day. It's only good for one day. Mechutz lezman. Yeah, after the time, after the allotted time. Hakvasim, now the same case, but in kvasim of Shavuos. Shavuos, you bring 2 sheep and 2 bread. Mifaglim is halechem. So if your machshava was during the shchita of the keves, it has an effect on the bread. V'alechem in mifaglim hakvasim, and the bread doesn't have an effect on the sheep. Keitza l'sheichus hakvasim lechem mehem l'machar hey v'alechem mefugalim lechel es halechem l'machar halechem mefugal v'akvasim ein mefugalim. Same halacha. My timer. Why does it go in one direction? How do I know that the breads of a toida are also called toida? The wording is kind of reversed. What it should say is v'hikriv chalois al zevach. You bring the chalois, you put on the zevach. Instead, the Torah says v'hikriv al zevach hatoida chalois. The bread which you're putting on is all the way at the end of the pasuk to tell us that chalois are a toida. Okay, ihachi ibchanami. If a chala is a toida, so if you have a machshava during the chala, it should have effect on the toida. Holei kashya. Lechem yikri toida, toida lo yikri lechem. We're telling you that the lechem has a name toida, but a toida doesn't have a name lechem. So it only works in one direction. It goes from toida to bread, but not from bread to toida. Now, that's a good teretz on the first part of the Mishnah of toida. What about the second part? For the Gemara, the second part of the Mishnah, where do we find in the Torah that bread is called a sheep? Elo, lechem gelal toida, vein toida gelal de lechem. Vein toida gelal de lechem. Lechem gelal de kfasim, vein kfasim gelal de lechem. That what comes first? The toida is, so Rashi explains, no, but it's not because. So Rashi sticks in a word. If you look at Rashi, they were asking lechem gelal kvasim. Rashi says the shchitas kvasim mikachim lelechem. Right, but okay. So here Rashi says that the keves is kaddish the bread. So could be, and I saw the Achronim speak out, especially the Sfasemes, that there's a big problem here, because there's a Gemara that says, and we're passing like Rabbi Akiva, that actually you could bring bread without the keves, but you can never bring a keves without bread. So it seems like the bread is the ikr, and that's how we pass him. So it's almost like a contradiction. So that's why Rashi comes here and says, you're right. In terms of what chashav, maybe the bread is more chashav. But because the keves is mekadesh the lechem, that's considered the ikr b'negeh to pigul.
So how could you bring the lechem by itself? It's
When you bring it by shul, you bring them together, then the keves is mekadesh it. We will see such a concept like that later on. That when you bring two things, then A is mekadesh B, but you can also bring B by itself, and you don't need the A to be mekadesh it. There's such a thing. Zog the Gemara. Yeah, like many korbanos, most korbanos, besides shlamim that you that's 2 days. Fine, and the same svara. So maybe we don't need that toida is lechem is a toida. This svara applies also to keves. That the keves is mekadesh the lechem. Says the Gemara Utzrichi, we need both cases in our Mishnah, the Yashmin and toida. Hasim udechim mefageh belechem Lo mifagel toida. I could see that in toida they're separate. The carbon and the bread are separate. Mishum lo hisku zela zebet nufa. There is no situation where the two of them are together in any halacha. Since you have to shake the keves, you literally before you shecht, you have to lift this thing up. You have to be a gibor, lift up this 200-pound animal with the lechem and do like you do with a little of mama's shaking all over the place. So in Mela, I would think now they're connected. I just connected them with the tnufa. If they're connected, so I'm a fagel one, I'm a fagel the other. But maybe by toida it doesn't work like that. But not toida, tzricha. So it goes both ways, Rashi explains. I need kfasim to tell me, if I would only say toida, I wouldn't know kfasim. I would say kfasim is better. If I would only say kfasim, I would say, but toida is not as good. In Mela, I need both. Boimenei Rebbe Elazar Mirav. Hashoichet is a toida. Okay, fine. Boimenei Rebbe Elazar Mirav. Hashoichet is a toida lechol kezayis mimena umilachma lemochor mahu. So, interesting shaila. We said that the toida has a power over the bread, but the bread doesn't have power over the toida. So what if he takes one kazayas and says a half a kazayas is pigol from the toida, and a half a kazayas is pigol from the lechem? Do they combine to make pigol? So the Gemara explains the shaila. Certainly, if I have a full kazayas of bread, I'm not mefagol the toida. So if I have a half a kazayas of bread together with a half a kazayas of toida, it's for sure the toida is for sure not going to become pigol. So what is the question? On the easier side, ashta kulei milachma lo mipaglo. If you have a full shear of pigol from a bread, lo mipaglo, it doesn't become pigol. Mimeno milachma mebaya. So if you have a half a shear of bread, it certainly doesn't become pigol. Kiko mebayli lipagule lechem. What about the weaker guy, the lechem? Can I use a strong half a zayis of a toida together with the weak half a zayis of the bread and make the lechem, make the bread pigol? Again, one kazayis of bread makes a bread pigol. So now, what if I take a half a kazayis of the pigol of the toida, which is much stronger than bread, and combine it with a half a kazayis of bread and make the bread pigol? Why shouldn't that work?
Also, one kazayis of toida also will make the bread pigol.
One kazayis of toida would make.
The question is if the two join together.
Oh, the question is if it's min echad. That's the question. So at the end of the day, I have a full zayis, but it's a combination of two products: a half a zayis of an animal and a half a zayis of bread, and I want to make it one zayis for pigol on the bread. Omalei, he says la'alocha avbezu halechem mefugol va'atoiden mefugals. By the way, pay attention here to all these words because pretty soon it's going to be word for word, literally 16 lines of the same exact Gemara. So we have to get this straight so we could go faster over there. Yeah, you could take a half a zayis of a toida and combine it with a half a zayis of lechem and make one lechem, make the lechem pigol. Ask the Gemara of Amai. If somebody has good pshan this kavachomer, please let me know. I don't have this kavachomer very stark, but we're going to say the words here. If you have the toida, which you're trying to use the toida's chatzi zayis against the bread, but he himself, the toida, does not become pigol. Habal fagel, the bread that you try to use the bread against the toida wouldn't work. V'lo pigel, and it didn't is pagel. The toida itself does not become pigol. And the bread that you try to use the bread against the toida didn't work. So if the toida himself didn't become pigol, how could the toida be strong enough to make the bread pigol? I don't understand the Kal V'chomer. You're saying that the bread is weak. The bread is really weak
Yeah.
because it cannot be mefagel the toida. Okay, it's weak, but you want to be mefagel itself. And he himself, he could be mefagel himself with the full zayis. And now you're using a stronger zayis, a half a zayis from a toida, you're adding. So what's wrong with that?
It doesn't join together.
But that's a different question. He's asking a Kal V'chomer. How does the Kal V'chomer work?
No, the Kal V'chomer is that it can't join together.
Why not?
Because I'm a fragile and mispagel, so about fragile and mispagel can't join.
But why not? Why shouldn't it join together? A toida, full toida, kazayis of a toida is strong enough to go against the lechem. That works. So why can't the half a zayis of a thing go? So now you just ask me a smart question. So it's not a Kal V'chomer. How could they go together? You ask me a Kal V'chomer. The toida is not strong enough to make himself pigul. So how can he make the lechem? Or the lechem is not strong enough to make the toida pigul. So how could they join forces with the? Okay. I'm missing something here. I feel like I'm missing part of the Kal V'chomer.
What you're saying is,
Yeah.
even if it's a whole kazayis of lechem, also it shouldn't be mifagel itself.
The who?
What you're saying.
No, I'm taking a really strong chatzi zayis of a toida, and I'm combining it with the weaker chatzi zayis. I'm trying to make a weak thing. The reason why let me explain my question. The reason why a toida doesn't become pigul is because it's strong, not because it's weak.
Right.
So adrabah, that helps me. I'm using something very strong that doesn't become pigul against the weakling. Adrabah, it should work. I don't understand. Okay,
No, but saying the half, the pigul,
the half of the toida
isn't strong enough
to be mefagel himself
It's the strong one isn't strong enough to be mefagel.
itself.
Right.
But it should be strong enough to be mefagel. A weak guy, why not? You're right, it's not strong enough to be mefagel something strong. It's mefagel something.
No, but it's not even strong.
What?
It's not strong enough to be mefagel lechem.
Why not?
Because it's only a half.
Well, that's not the question. The question is not about the half. The question is about the chumrah. But that's not what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is saying, let's look at the words inside.
The Rashi says that. The Rashi
The
says
bread itself shouldn't be mispagel because he hasn't tried, it didn't work. So obviously he doesn't have the power for even to make himself.
It didn't work because what do you mean it didn't work? Because he's weak. Because he's weak. But now I'm adding a strong kazayis to him.
whole kazayis,
Only for himself, he doesn't have any.
a whole kazayis is strong, right? Because it can mefagel itself and the lechem. Half a kazayis, it doesn't have the potential to mefagel itself because it's nothing.
Right.
So once it's nothing, it doesn't do anything with anything else either. For the lechem either.
But now you're asking me svar, not a Kal V'chomer. He's asking a Kal V'chomer from a chumrah and a kal. Let's look inside. We'll do it again. Uma hamefagel, which is the toida. Ein mispagel, it doesn't have power to be mispagel
Right?
because you added lechem to it. Lechem doesn't have power against the
it's
toida.
a half.
No, because half of the
It's
kazayis
'cause it's a
is
half.
okay, there's nothing.
It's because it's
It's a half. Okay, so let's go with you guys. It's a half.
Because it's a half.
Habal lefagel, the lechem,
The half of that.
the half a lechem that you're trying to be mifagel. V'loi pigel, it couldn't be mifagel the toida. Why? Because it's half or because it's weak? Because it's weak, not because it's half.
The way Rashi says it, it seems like it's because it's half. But
No, Rashi just explained because we're talking about halves, but that's not the reason why. Okay, fine. Now the Gemara says, could you say such a Kal V'chomer? Latanya, by the way, the Daf Beis and Makis has a very similar Kal V'chomer and the same kind of Shakal V'Tarid. Story. A person went, he wanted to be a Russia. He was jealous his friend had a nice vineyard, so he went and he did something that's also Klai Kerem. He planted something in the Kerem. What did he plant? The Gemara is going to say soon. Now, you're not allowed to plant certain things under the vineyard. They said, okay, the guy that planted whatever he planted, his stuff is usher. But the vineyard is mutter. Why? Because we have a concept. You can't ask for something that's not yours. So you can't go in there and add an isser. Fine. We have a Kal V'chomer. Umaho iser. The vineyard. The gfanim. Enu nesar. They become asur. Habola esor. These roim that he planted, v'lo yosar, he wasn't able to asur the vineyard, and it didn't shlo yisasur. Why is the halacha that what the guy planted became asur? Since he didn't have the power to aser the grapes, so he shouldn't be himself aser. Same kind of kal v'chomer. Nothing to do with half, by the way. Over here it's kal v'chomer. Says the Gemara, Hachi Ashto. I'll explain to you. Over there, you didn't understand the case. Hasam kan bois v'luf asr Torah. Amazing.
That's not cannabis.
You know what cannabis is? Cannabis. Talking about marijuana, Rabbi Isai. In English, it's called hemp, which I looked up. It's very, very similar to what we call today marijuana. It's cannabis. At the time of the Gemara, they had cannabis. And even at the time of the Gemara, they knew that it had certain smoking effects.
The Aruch says it's a kind of a spice, but okay.
Yeah.
Cumin.
They call it today spice. Some people call it.
Aruch says
Fine.
cumin.
Every time I cleanse it,
Cannabis? No, because even cannabis in all these mishnayos, they have cannabis that they used to make threads out of it. It can't be cumin.
Either it's a min pishtan or it's a min.
Yeah, min pishtan, exactly.
Come on.
I think it's marijuana. Fine. Yeah, but that's canvas. I think canvas is like it comes from. Yeah, exactly. Viluf, I don't know what luf is exactly. Some sort of bean or some sort of onion, something. It's luf. Luftig. It makes you luftig. Fine. Asr Torah. Now, so Rashi says that these two things. Rashi says that, okay, so the Gemara says that these two things is what you're not allowed to plant underneath a vineyard. Everything else you could, but it means deraisa, but it really means maybe, according to a lot of Rishonim, it means in addition to the Chameshes Haminim, you're not allowed to plant these things. Why? Because you have to look into cumin and into cannabis. I'm not a big mumcha, but supposedly it lasts from year to year. Or Rashi brings another thing that it has a shkoilos. It has like little grapes on it. So since it has little grapes, you're not allowed to plant it underneath the vineyard. Okay. But he didn't plant. He planted something that wasn't there, right? So he planted cucumbers underneath. So Melo, we say to him, you can't use your cucumbers, but that guy could use his grapes. Fine. It makes sense because Lamaisa, even if though you can't answer your friend's things, but if you do mamisha iser to it, like we had in Avodah Zarah, if you pour wine on somebody's animal, you could. If I take a knife and I poke the animal's lungs and I trafe it, I can't say, you can't answer the animal. I just trafed it. It's a fact. If you plant something in somebody's vineyard, the lemaisa, you made an isser there. It's not. If you do machshav on somebody's animal, I understand. You can't answer somebody's thing. But if you did a physical thing, so that's what the Gemara is saying, really. Yeah, a physical thing, you taka answer it. But we're talking about a derabanan here, and that's why it doesn't come answer.
Why are they specific?
Because they look similar or they're very strong. Two reasons in Rashi. Sha'ar Zeroyim in the Rabbanon of the Asiri. So the guy that did the Isser, the bad guy, the jealous guy, we gave him a penalty and we don't let him use his produce. But in our sugya, when there's mamish Isser deraisa, let's say kal v'chomer. At the end of the day, so we have to know. We have a kal v'chomer, we don't have a kal v'chomer. Okay. Now, this is every Daf Yomi guy's dream, this Gemara right here, because it's word for word what we just learned. Just instead of talking about the breads, the lechamim, we're talking about the toida, the breads of the toida, we're talking about the sheep. But mamish, word for word. Some people say this whole sugya goes on the sheep. What's the whole sugya? Instead of telling me those four, we're going to go 15 lines now. He shechted the keves to eat the keves mechutz zman and the lechem mechutz zman. Mau lipaguli kfasim loy kame boili hashta kulu milechem loy mipagle mehem umelachem meboye. So obviously I cannot take the bread and be mefagel the keves. So the question is not on the keves. The question is ki kame boili lipaguli lechem. The question will be, does the bread become pigul? Could you make a tziruf between the sheep and the bread to make the bread pigul? Yeah, the halacha is the bread does become pigul. V'amai, le'makav choimer, uma mefagel mispagel. The keves, they tried to make the bread pigul doesn't become pigul. Habal lefagel pigul in addition to ispagel. So the bread that's weaker, that tried to make the keves pigul and wasn't successful, certainly it itself should not become pigul. Why would you say such a kavachoymer? There's a story. Oh, over here the Gemara says v'chulu. Fine. Over there by the grapes, we should say that you don't destroy the bad guy's produce. The Torah only said cannabis and luf is also. Shazroim the Rabbanon who the Asiri had over the surah kansura Rabbanon. The guy that was over the game of knas the over the surah like kansura Rabbanon. Fine. Now that's it. The fun is over. The only thing better than this sugya is when it's a lot of names. 6 lines of names. Fine. Zoyk the Gemara. Man de masni la toida. But there is enough community between the two sugyas, says the Gemara, and we had this svara before, today. If you say this whole sugya on toida, kolchkin akvasim, then it certainly goes, everything that we said applies to the sheep on Shavuos. And the Gemara is going to explain. Uman the masla kvasim, what kvasim is different. Kvasim will do is kukuzel zelat nuva. Since I could see why it's one min, because you put them together, you do one tnufa, one maisa together, so they got together at a certain point, they're considered one min, I can mefagel from one to the other. So therefore, this sugya does not apply to toida if I just say it on kfasim. Fine. Rabbi Abba Zudi boy lahachi. Rabbi Abba Zudi had a shaila. Boy mene Rabbi Loza mirav. Different shaila. Ashoyichet is a keves lecho kazais mechaveroi lemachar mau. A person didn't specify exactly what he meant. He said, I'm shechting this sheep in order to eat a kazais from the friend. Now the friend could be the second sheep that he didn't shecht yet, and it could be the bread, maybe its partner, so to speak. Each sheep like has a bread maybe. Mau. Chaveroi keves mashma v'li mefagel. Maybe he meant the second sheep, and therefore, since he shechted the sheep in order to eat a kazayis from the second sheep, that doesn't work. Why? Because one matter cannot be mefagel another matter. That we had the concept. When I'm doing this matter, sheep number 1, I cannot be mefagel sheep number 2. But if I meant the bread, but I could go from a sheep to a bread. The second one is chaver shneim ksherim. Again.
Why shneim?
Oh, so now if chaveri means the bread, it should be pasul, it should be pigul. Obviously, when I go to my friend, I'm thinking about my friend. I'm matter. I'm trying to be matter. I'm trying to be mefagel the other matter, and I cannot be mefagel another matter. So even this specific one remains mutter. Somebody's outside. Somebody's looking for somebody. You want to check? Or maybe it's just women. I don't know. I thought they were looking for somebody here. Almo chaveroi keves mashma. So the Gemara says no. Dilma the farish v'alma chaveri keves. Interesting. Over there, maybe he could be.
Why? It's a good light.
No, maybe over there he mentioned keves, and over here he didn't mention.
It's right for Rashi's Pshat. Rashi always says that whenever it's Nashor, it means it's...
He said it. Yeah, he said it. Right.
So it's a light.
Very good.
So over here we see that the Gemara is saying...
That he had to say keves?
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying...
The child of the Gemara is, he just said that word without it explaining.
Ah, I hear what you're saying. You're saying the Gemara over here says mefurish.
What was really
The
his mind?
farish what to say? The Gemara is the right to Rashi that you have to say a machshav mefurish. It's not enough to have a machshav. Okay. Says the Mishnah. Hazevach mefagel esanesachem. We continue with the same thing. Until now we're talking about a carbon being mefagel bread. What about the nesachem? Nesachim, the wine, the soilas that come with different korbanos that you bring, certain korbanos have these extra things, certain don't. So if I'm a fagel, if I have a machshava during the carbon part, does it have an effect on the nesachim? Says the Mishnah, yes. Mishikacha b'kli. Once they become kodesh, kedushas haguf in a vessel, says Remeir, Divrei Remeir, they
that you have to bring the korban or
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Nesachim that I have to bring. But it doesn't work the other way around. I don't go from the wine, let's say, the wine or the soilus, I cannot be mefagel, the actual carbon, the oilo, whatever I bring. Everything becomes pigul if I have the machshava during the carbon. But if I thought about being makriv the nesachim the wrong time, nesachim, mefugalim, azevach in mefugal, if I drink or eat the soilus, Rashi says drinking here, it doesn't mention the soilus, but akopanim, either or probably, then the zevach, it has no effect on the zevach, it has an effect on the nesachim. Tanu Rabbanan. Now the Gemara goes more into the Meir. The Machlokes is here. Niskei beheimo chayavim alei mishum pigul. Mipnei shizdam hazevach matirum likorev divrei Meir. Meir explains that what's matter. I don't know if we discussed it so much. It's more of a zva. In order for something to become pigul, you need to have a heter to it. You have to be matter it. So every carbon, every animal has blood, they do zrika, which is the matter to the whole carbon. But let's say the blood itself has no matter to it. It is the matter. That's why he himself cannot become pigul. Now, says the Gemara, the dam of the carbon is what's matter, not only the carbon, but also the nesachim that come along with the carbon. So therefore, once I'm a fagel by the carbon, I'm a fagel everything. The carbon, the blood of the carbon has an effect on everything that comes with the carbon, even the wine. Even the wine. When I spray the blood on the mizbeach, the final avodah, I do shchita, kabbalah, ilach, and zrika. I do zrika on the mizbeach. Now the kohen could drink, or you could put it on the mizbeach. You could put the wine on the mizbeach. It's matter the wine. So memela, if I have a machshava during the zevach, then that machshava goes to the wine as well. It affects the wine. How can you tell me that they're connected? You see from the fact, halacha is, I could bring my wine whenever I want, way past the time I brought the carbon. So Mamela, they're not connected. If they're not connected, how can my machshava on the carbon have an effect on the wine?
Time.
What?
Time connects things.
You see that they're not connected. If they have if they're not at the same within the same time limit, then they're separate things. They're separate entities. They're separate korbanos. They're separate something. You're right. If he really brought it much later, right. Wine that comes together with the carbon, then they have a connection. Still they don't have a connection. Why? The halacha is, let's say this carbon became tamei, I can't use it anymore, or whatever reason, got lost. I could transfer the wine, which is a big chiddush, I could transfer the wine to another carbon. There's a second oil on the side over there, now I put it on the second. You see, they have no real connection. They don't have an intrinsic connection. They just happen to be next to each other, and you be makriv of them, but they're not associated with each other. No. Remeir holds you can't give it to another carbon. They are connected. Once you do shchita, then this wine gets locked into this specific carbon. I can't switch it anymore. And they're connected. And if I do bring the wine on that day, then they're really connected. If I bring it on a different day, then you're right, they're not connected. So now the same exact thing that we just said is the same words, but benegeh to shemen. Loig shemesh ha-mitzayra, chayom alav mishim pigul. So if a mitzayra just brings his lug of shemen, loig of shemen, and he has machshava that he's going to use it a different day, it's pigul. Why? Ipnei shedam osham matir lebahoynos.
Look over here that the machshava was by the carbon. So it's basically
Okay, sorry. He shechted his asham. There's 3 korbanos he brings, right? The Messiah brings 3 korbanos. So during the shechita, he had in mind that he's gonna be mefagel the shemen. He's gonna use the shemen later date. Why? Why does the shechita have to do with the oil? Because shedam osham matir lebahoynos. What allows you to put this oil on? Right? We said a few times. First you put the blood on the right finger, then you do hazois with the oil. It doesn't matter. But it's a heter even for Haktorah there's a heter.
When's it gonna
Mm-hmm.
be
Imurim, right?
high? Once he puts on this bonus?
no.
If he drinks, same thing with Imurim. Let's say you have Imurim. I'm a fagel the Imurim. I say I'm gonna put the Imurim 3 days from now on the mizbech. Then he took a bite out of it. Then he's over on kares. Same thing with the same question. I could bring the oil at a much later date, so it's not connected. I was talking about if he doesn't bring it later, it is connected. But I could take the oil and use it for another carbon, so it's not connected. It is connected because once I do the shechita, then it becomes connected, just like the lechem becomes connected to the carbon.
So you need 2 things.
And the shechita that I was talking about was only the shechita of the asham, not the shechita of the oil and the chatos.
You need 2 things to connect them. You need the